On this episode of The Balancing Act, an artist who has used her life experience to inspire new, unique creations. Plus, a facial surgery that's sure to boost your confidence. Ready to plan your next luxury vacation? We found a company with the knowledge to plan the perfect trip. And a private Catholic school serving the next generation. All of this and much more on The Balancing Act.
Let's check out our first story, shall we?
Edgar Degas once said, "Art is not what you see, but what you make others see." It's the talented artists, sculptors, designers that make art so beautiful.
I got into the art industry because my parents are both creative people and artists. My mother was a fashion designer and my father an artist doing thousands of drawings and etchings and was an illustrator and commercial artist. They had an art studio in our home and I was always encouraged from the time I can remember to go into the studio, draw, paint, make collage, whatever. So they were a huge part of me always thinking of myself as an artist, and that was a viable profession to pursue. In fact, my father had a huge collection of art books that he would read to me, like storybooks, read the biography of a particular artist and show me the pictures of his artwork. And so from the time I can remember as a child, always having discussions about art and being creative. I went to undergraduate school at UC Davis and always focused on sculpture. Although as an undergraduate, I pursued photography as well. Another thing my father always told me was always document your work and record what you do as an artist. At Davis, there was a big focus on ceramics, which I also incorporated into my work. Always been attracted to mixed media. I love materials and change materials frequently depending on the piece or the idea that I have and want to create. In fact, sometimes materials inspire ideas, and I also work with found objects a lot, which trigger my imagination, and then the object becomes a vehicle for the final piece. What I love about being an artist is it keeps me connected to my imagination and intuition at all times. I've from a young age, relied on my intuition to guide me, not only in my artwork, but in my career and all experience in life. I trust it, I listen to it, and that's how the process of creating objects comes about. I love mystery and not knowing what the final product will be, so I'll either find an object that inspires an idea and then go to different materials, whichever is suitable to execute the idea. And it's all kind of a mysterious process to me. I open my imagination and intuition as I work, and that's how it comes about. I never do a sketch or a drawing and say, okay, this is what I'm going to make. My inspiration comes from finding things in the world that are unexpected. As I go outside, sometimes I'll find an object that's discarded and pick it up and bring it home, and it becomes inventory for my artwork.
There's never a right or wrong way to view art. When you walk into Launa's studio, it's all about how the artwork makes you think and how it makes you feel.
I don't think there's any shoulds in the art world. I hope that the viewer, just like I bring my imagination to the creative process, brings their imagination to the objects I create. It's interesting because people sometimes when they're in the studio looking at my work, they'll look at a certain piece and ask me, well, what is the meaning of this, or what did you intend? And I ask them, well, what do you see in the piece? What does your imagination tell you about the piece? And then they continue and tell me this whole incredible story about what the piece means to them and how they interpret it. And then they'll look back at me, is that correct? And it's like, there's nothing that correct or incorrect about art. Art is something that should inspire people to look beyond what we see in reality in the world. And so for me, that's important. That's why if you look at the body of my work, there are elements that are familiar, but a lot of it is left up to the interpretation of a viewer. My advice to young artists is to always be passionate about what you pursue, and art is a vehicle to open one's imagination and their intuition, which can be applied to any profession in this world. Unfortunately, a lot of young people now growing up with the internet and iPhones and all kinds of electronic devices that distract them. The conversation is not about what you see in the world, it's about other things, which I think is unfortunate. I think young artists should be encouraged by their parents to get outside and play games and create an alternate universe rather than being glued to an iPhone or being on TikTok or doing things that literally make you very insular and you're not looking outside yourself to the world. When I first moved to Brooklyn, my studio is around the corner from a community garden, and I met a lot of young parents, and in talking to them, they explained that art was no longer part of the curriculum in school, that if you took an art class, they paid for it. It was like extra curriculum outside of their class time. And it inspired me to work in the garden. I created a program called Art in the Garden, which I wrote grants for, and I ran it for 15 years. And parents and children would come into the garden, and I hired different artists to teach different workshops, and all of the parents said, wow, you're using such simple materials, you know, paper and paint and cardboard. And I said, yes, using your imagination doesn't cost a lot of money. It just needs the time, the place, and the encouragement to do so.
If you'd like to visit the studio or you're interested in any art, visit the website launabeuhler.com or watch the segment again at thebalancingact.com.
Well, there's no better feeling in the world than having confidence. And if you're struggling with insecurities around your face, surgery may be the way to go. Dr. Janjua is the founder of the Janjua Facial Surgery Clinic.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much for being here today, sir.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Look, can you tell me a little bit about yourself and what made you want to get into facial surgery?
Absolutely. So very briefly, I am a board-certified facial plastic surgeon, and I live in New Jersey with my lovely wife of 23 years and 3 beautiful daughters. I love to meditate and run and work on medical devices. In fact, I'm very lucky to have a patent on a medical device to stop severe nosebleeds.
That's incredible.
And I'm working on bringing it to the market hopefully soon.
I went through that. We won't go into deep conversation, but I went through severe nosebleeds for a while.
Oh,
and I had to have interventional radiological surgery.
That's exactly the reason. Oh my, I have a simpler solution.
Okay, well, we'll get to that in a minute.
We'll get to that later.
Absolutely.
So, you know, when I came to U.S., you can probably tell I'm not from around here by the accent. I was born and raised in Pakistan. So when I came to U.S., I trained at Yale University in surgical training for head and neck cancer. That's what I wanted to do. I wanted to help people with cancer. But it was emotionally taxing to see some of my patients pass away, you know, despite the best efforts. So it was very difficult. And I decided to change that to maybe some happy surgery that is still challenging but has a happy ending.
And I would bet there's not much happier than a person getting up in the morning and looking in that mirror and going, yeah.
Exactly. So that's, you know, what led me to further train in facial plastic surgery and open Janjua Facial Surgery.
And you've kind of created something that's really unique in the marketplace. It's like a different type of rhinoplasty nose job, right?
That is correct. Yes.
So what's the difference between the normal one and the one that you do?
Well, in the normal one, you know, they always talk about a typical Caucasian nose where the bridge is straight, the tip is high. That doesn't fit all the different ethnic groups. And when I was trained only in Caucasian noses, and also all the books I read were on Caucasian noses. Right. When I started my own practice, I started seeing a lot of ethnic patients, including African-American patients. They would come and they would tell me, like, Doc, I really don't want, you know, all this Caucasian nose. And I just want the nostrils to be a little softer. And we were never trained to deal with big nostrils in our training, so I had to come up with techniques. As I was doing it, I started putting them on YouTube as videos, and I started using the term alarplasty to educate patients, and that became a pretty well-known term now. And then patients would come and see, Doc, I had to go to many doctors. They all wanted to do a full nose job. Until I came across your video, and I said, that's exactly what I need. And the rest is history.
So what are some of the reactions that you've seen or gotten from some of the people that you've actually shown their new nose?
Well, pretty much everything from like crying with tears of joy to jumping up and down screaming to asking me for a hug or asking to take a selfie with me. My favorite was this one patient who looked at the mirror afterwards and said, Doc, finally now when people talk to me, they're going to look me in the eyes and not look at my nostrils. Wow. For me, that sealed the deal. That
would be the seal of the deal right there.
It did.
So if people wanted more information, where would they go?
They can go to my website, janjuafacialsurgery.com, or the second website, alarplasty.com.
Okay, and of course, you can always go to our website, thebalancingact.com, if you want more information. Docs, thank you so much for being a part of the show.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, sir. Hey, are you planning a vacation? Well, there's no reason to stress. Our guests are here today, and they're here to help you with all your travel needs. Greg and Sandy, they are co-founders of Haute Explore Luxury Travel. Welcome. Thank you guys for being here.
Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. What got the two of you into this business?
I was lucky. I grew up in the hotel business. My father opened managed 8 of the first 10 Four Seasons hotels, so my siblings and I guess, essentially had the benefit of living in and around Four Seasons hotels for the first half of our lives.
Come on with your bad stuff, yeah.
Not a bad lifestyle.
Not a bad lifestyle.
It's a little bit better than military lifestyle. The food was better and the accommodations were nicer.
Absolutely. And what about you? What got you into it?
I began in the hotel industry as well in New Orleans. I'm originally from New Orleans. Collectively, we have over 40 plus years of travel industry business together.
Well, a lot of people like myself, think that they can plan their own vacation. And why should they really stop that and start considering talking to a travel agency?
Well, now, especially post-pandemic, a lot of rules have changed with regards to travel and where you can go, when to test, when not to test. That's why you would come to us. We handle all of that. We're pretty much the easy button. We operate 24/7 in a discreet manner, so everything is hands-on. We touch everything from start to finish.
So do you suggest places that you have relationships with, or do you work out relationships? I'm looking at, there's the Great Pyramids behind you and other places like that, but I mean, do you have relationships with the places that you suggest?
Yes, so we have, over the last 30 years, met with general managers, owners, been to trade shows, meeting literally the best hotel owners and general managers from around the world. We have put partnerships in place so that when our clients come and visit those hotels, they're treated extra special.
Yes, it's always good to have someone to expect you when you arrived.
Absolutely.
I always say it's good to say, hello, Mr. Williams, it's so nice to have you here.
Makes all the difference in the world. Are you kidding me?
Absolutely.
When you greet me when I walk in the door that way, rather than saying, excuse me, do you have a reservation? Oh, yes. You know what I mean? And you weed out all of the chaff, so to speak.
Exactly,
right? Absolutely.
Exactly.
Well, look, when you're planning a vacation for, let's say, an individual or a family, what's your goal?
Your happiness, my client's happiness, that you're getting the vacation or the holiday that you expected and that you wanted.
We are coming out of COVID, and I got to tell you, like the last couple of weeks, I've been to a couple cities, and I will tell you the honest truth, my hotel experiences have not been the best in any of them. Why? Because, I'm paying full price for a room, and yet the person at the front desk is telling me, well, we're not going to clean your room for 3 days. We're not going to change your towels for 3 days. Excuse me? You better step up to the plate. I mean, is this going to stop sometime soon?
It will stop, and this is why you go to us. If you come to a situation like that where you're not getting the service you expect, we'll take care of it.
And this is something you take care of even before I even go on my trip, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Wow, well, I think it's vacation time coming up. If people wanted to get more information, where would they go?
HauteExplore.com, HauteExplore.com.
Well, you guys are wonderful. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Of course, if you want more information, you can always go to our website, thebalancingact.com. We'll be back right after this. Every child deserves the best education possible. Take a look at this.
Malcolm X once said, "Education is the passport to the future, for tomorrow belongs to those who prepare for it today." And now more than ever, a good education is the top priority.
Private schools are different than public schools, and I think the real reason is because of flexibility. You know, we're not bound by any state-mandated curriculums. We have the flexibility to teach our faith. We have the flexibility to work with our students in a special way, because my philosophy of education really is more than just math and history and English. You know, here we teach character, we teach values, we teach empathy, and we're developing truly nice kids that go out to high school and beyond and have proven to be extremely successful. Here at St. Benedict School, you know, we want to teach the whole person. We want to teach academically as well as socially, emotionally, spiritually, and athletically. You know, here at St. Benedict's, we're looking to create productive members of society and productive members of the Catholic Church.
I think it's important to have a religious connection in education because it's a rich part of our human history. It's very difficult to understand the fullness of history and the development of how humanity has emerged and how our modern culture exists without understanding the religious dimension of humanity. In a broad sense, I think our school is unique. Certainly the outdoor learning classroom, which we put in a few years ago, really has changed a lot of the way in which we can provide opportunities for our students.
We moved out here, my husband and I, 17 years ago, and we knew we'd raise a family out here in New Jersey, and we were starting to research schools in the area. I immediately came across St. Benedict School because we were parishioners here. We were looking for an academic, strong curriculum. We were also looking for a faith-based curriculum, and we also wanted for our daughter to have lots of sports clubs, activities, and the community service aspect to her education. So we did look at other schools, but once I felt that St. Benedict School checked all those boxes, there was no need to look anywhere else. Some parents may feel when they're looking at a private school versus a public school that it's tuition, it's money, it's a sacrifice for the family. But my husband and I, we looked at it as the opposite. We saw it as an investment in our children's future, and we felt it was a gift. Two of my daughters are in high school now, and St. Benedict School has built such a solid foundation for them academically, spiritually, and extracurricularly with the programs they've been involved with.
So we're gonna have our dot marker. I have two sons here. I have John, who's in sixth grade, Matt, who's in 4th. And John started in kindergarten, and I thought, okay, I gotta get involved somehow. So I got involved with the PTA. At that time, there was a school board. I got involved with that. So while that was happening, I was hearing about a PreK program that was starting. I was teaching PreK at another school, and I wanted to get my foot in the door here. So I met with the principal, and together we designed the PreK program. And when my youngest son, Matt, started in kindergarten, I started here in PreK. So we piloted the program, and here we are now. We have 2 PreK 4s, a 3rd PreK 4 coming next year, and 2 PreK 3 programs. So we grew, you know, immensely over the past 5 years. St. Benedict School gives you a foundation for life. We are teaching from the earliest age to, you know, love one another, to choose kindness, to care about others, to share. And when we start that with our 3-year-olds, we can see it and we can work with it and we can just nurture it up until 8th grade. We really want to instill those morals and values at that age, and we know how to do it with the little ones. You know, we do it in a way that they don't even know that it's happening. It's something ongoing in our curriculum, and it's something that they just build, and you know, we see these beautiful young women and young men that come out of our school, and it started so young.
Interested in a private Catholic education for your children? Visit their website, stbenedicthomedale.org, or go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
You don't want to miss this next story.
Jakett is about finding the beauty in imperfection. Their jackets are perfectly imperfect, making each one as rare a find as the person wearing it.
I was schooled as an architect, being in the family tradition. And although I was always interested in constructing things and putting things together with bricks and mortar and beams, it was not as rewarding as I always saw the instant reaction when you were able to design clothing. When you're constructing something, the materials that you use are so important, and it really is the soul of the product. Through all the years that I've been in the industry, traveling around the world and being in and out of factories and laboratories and watching craftspeople, I've always been fascinated by how easy it is to use leather as a medium, because it's sturdy and it drapes, and it's actually biblical. It was our first form of clothing.
Since 2008, Jakett has been inspired by the culture and traditions of the people of the Middle East. The lamb and goat skins they treat are supple, thinner, and stronger, making them ideal for tailoring. Jakett is not the first to work on leather, but they believe Joseph's eye and highly technical process elevates the old school craft.
We start with an idea of a proportion, of a shape. And once we recognize the shape that we're trying to accomplish, then it makes it easy to select the skin. The general aesthetic of Jakett and JKT, my two largest brands, is always has been about vintage and embracing the natural imperfections of the skins. Normally, people look at leather jackets as outerwear pieces. And the thing that I've always prided Jakett and JKT on is my execution of raw edges. And the beautiful thing is, because leather doesn't fray, you can cut it and it just stays that way. You can join the two pieces of skin together, stitch them, and it makes it so much lighter weight and thinner, and it helps it drape. And that's the essence, I think, of our brand.
The same jacket can do all these things. You can wear the same jacket depending on your style to go out with friends for a nice casual sort of lunch. You can delve together a little bit more and go out for dinner, and then the sexy sort of night out. Again, the same jacket, just changing the outfit, the hair a little bit, going into the heels. But the amazing thing is the diversity and flexibility of the product.
I think what's fantastic about Jakett is that it offers so much to so many women's fashionalities. The versatility is number one. I think that what strikes everyone the most, there's such a large offering for sophisticated women, for fun party girls in downtown New York City. So I think there's a large breadth. The second most prevalent thing is the skins and the quality of the skins. I've worked for the most luxurious brands in the industry, and this leather is the most luxurious leather available at a price point that people can afford. The most fun part of what I do for Jakett is when I'm in a store doing a trunk show and somebody tries it on for the first time, and the first thing almost all of them say is, "I look so cool." And I think that's probably what everybody will find the second they slide their arms into a Jakett jacket.
When you look at leather from Jakett, you see more than a garment. You see thousands of years of craftsmanship stitched into the seams, drum dyed onto the skin, or hand waxed onto the surface. Their process ensures that every jacket is as rarefied as the person wearing it. It's about a statement piece, a jacket that is made not to cover an outfit, but to make an outfit. Check out their website, jakett.com, or go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
When legal aid is required, what you need most is someone you can trust, as we find out in this next story.
Are you experiencing issues in your marriage? Are you considering a change? If you're thinking about a divorce, there's some important steps you need to take with your lawyer.
When a client first comes into my office, the most important thing is to take the temperature of the marital friction. Also, I allow a client to tell me a story. Clients are anxious to tell the narrative, the story of why they're there. I then seek to determine whether the client has access to all the documents relating to the potential divorce action, like bank statements and credit card statements and brokerage statements and deeds and the financial documents. So if the parties are on speaking terms, and although they've agreed to have a divorce, they're interested in solving the problem. There's something called the collaborative divorce, which is like a do-it-yourself divorce, where you don't go to court. You can go to court and have an uncontested divorce, but a collaborative divorce is where the two parties sit down with their lawyers in four-way meetings, sign an agreement to make it non-adversarial and solve the problem, and seek to resolve each of the four issues I spoke about. And then when they've agreed on everything, then they would go to court and put the divorce through as an uncontested divorce. On the issue of custody, the issue is whether it's going to be contested or not. Those outcomes are apparent. On alimony and child support, in 2017, a law changed where alimony is no longer deductible for the payor and included in income for the payee. In equitable distribution, again, it depends upon the facts of the case, and particularly the standard of living of the parties during the marriage. Can they maintain that standard of living after the divorce? When a client comes into my office, I seek to identify all the different types of property that a client owns. Anything that the parties obtained from the date of the marriage through the date of the commencement of divorce is deemed marital property. Now, there are exceptions. If one party makes a gift to another, then it becomes separate property. What you bring into a marriage at the beginning is separate property. Inheritances are separate property. In New York, the cap on alimony is $203,000, which is the payor's income, and there's a formula for determining what the alimony is. There's no such set formula in New Jersey. In New York, although there's a cap of $203,000, a judge can go above a cap in certain circumstances, depending upon the facts in the case.
When you're considering a divorce, it's best to leave the details to the experts. Visit their website, elliottpell.com, or go to our website, thebalancingact.com.
Thanks so much for joining us on this local edition of The Balancing Act. We'll see you next time.